What pops up for me when we talk about unity without uniformity is I just feel this expansiveness when you say that. I feel like this oneness with everyone and this connection to everyone. And certainly in today's world, I really feel this pull for diversity and inclusion. And so when we talk about uniformity with, no, when we talk about unity without uniformity, please don't ask me to say that again because I'll most likely mess that up. It just makes me think of resolving conflict. It makes me think of how we can be more curious when we are in other people's company, and how, you know, the power of the pause when we are also in conversation with others and really listening to what others are saying and kind of unpacking their perspective. And one way we can do that is by getting curious and maybe doing more listening than talking, which is, that's a skill in itself. Most of the time when we're speaking or when we're not listening to understand, we're often listening to respond. And so it's a bit of a skill set to kind of slow us down and pause us. And I know Alexandra speaks about this in her book as well, is when we meet someone who has a different perspective than us, it's really about slowing down and getting curious instead of reacting and placing judgment on others based on different things, whether that be their race, their gender, their age. And so for me, when I hear that, I really love to have more discussion about it, because curiosity just leads to understanding. And so I love this conversation. I'm really looking forward to hearing what pops up for everyone when they think about this. And so it's a great way to lead us today, Linda. Thank you. And Steena, I'd love to hear from you. If you could let us know what pops up for you when we talk about unity without uniformity.
Absolutely. So I love the idea of unity without uniformity because it's one of those lovely paradoxes where we're acknowledging polarities and we're acknowledging differences and individuality, um, and at the same time coming together in that. And I was just thinking this morning about how everyone, each one of us, chooses our belief system and the way that we live based on what feels safe to us. And usually what is different is dangerous. And we want to kind of, there's like this primal instinct to eliminate differences because we want to feel more safe. We want to feel like we are right. We want to feel like we are okay. We want to feel like we are powerful. And it's that kind of a primal instinct, and then it's inflamed by like the way we're indoctrinated, you know, the way that we're taught dogma, that there has to be one that's higher than the other. There has to be a hierarchy of power, and there has to be like somebody always has to be down in order for us to be up. And we don't really learn how to relate to each other. We learn how to kind of establish ourselves in that hierarchy, and that becomes our relationship. And so I think it's so important to first understand ourselves and what makes us different, instead of assuming that like we are the standard and then comparing other people to that standard. And I know for me that it's always in the groups of people that are more oppressed or more of a minority in some way that I've learned this. And I've learned a lot from like the LGBTQIA plus communities and people who are really out there just sharing their truth and themselves and just saying, here I am. And like purely their existence in the world challenges us because it's just something so clearly different than what we've taught is normal or okay. And I know for me, when I had an open marriage, when I was in like the polyamory community, or I met a couple that was swingers, it was like, that was a world where I really learned how to be myself and be different and respect other people's differences and their choices. And I think that what makes that all possible is everyone being radically honest and also radically respectful and understanding like where your personal boundaries are, right? Like you can believe a lot of things and live a certain way without it really affecting other people. And then there's a point where that line gets crossed and you're now trying to push all of your stuff, onto other people. And that's where we ruin the unity part of it, is that now we're not cooperating in our differences and we're not understanding in our differences. We're again trying to create the conformity. We're trying to get everybody to go to be the same so that we can rest and relax and be like, okay. I mean, I see this in my most intimate relationship with my partner. He does things differently. He makes plans differently. He keeps a house differently. He cooks differently. Like it's just down to those things where it's like, you have to deal with the discomfort of someone else being different, and it's okay. The way that they're doing it is okay. And I think when you can do that on like that more minute level, then you can look at the world and realize that it's not actually that different to apply it to bigger groups of people or bigger things. It's just part of being human. So yeah, so I love this concept.
Oh, you brought up so much in there, Steena, so much to unpack. And specifically, I really resonate when you talk about the old leadership style of control and demand, which really assimilates everyone to really doing the same thing. And also it really has that, excuse me, what you mentioned, that hierarchy, right? Which can lead to exclusiveness, not inclusiveness, right? When we have teams that are exclusive of everyone and their ideas, we feel more led by that control and demand, which is really leading to differences or opposing views like you're speaking about. So I'm so thankful that we're stepping into a new way of leadership now, which is more steeped in autonomy and, like you're talking, Steena, more inclusion about the different perspectives that everyone's bringing to the table.